Well, hello and good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop channel. We're here for a little full match reaction. It's finished 4-1 at Anfield to Liverpool. We've absolutely battered Chelsea, and Kev seems to have a bee in his bonnet. Kev, what's the matter, buddy?
Nothing. It's just, look, I mean, at the end of the day, I think Conor Bradley got man of the match. And at the end of the day, he played 68 minutes. He couldn't even do 90. He's up and down the wing. He got a goal. He got a couple of assists. He's doing his job, it's his job. You don't know. You shouldn't need praise to be getting your job, to be doing your job. It's fucking outstanding, isn't it?
Oh, it's so good. You did well.
I'm impressed you lasted that long. That's very impressive.
Yeah, that's extremely good. I mean,
so hard.
Chris, happy days. I mean, that's a hell of a performance that we just watched there from the Reds, isn't it?
That's the best home performance of the season. I mean, that's our biggest win against Chelsea since '96. And as Kev points out, Chelsea back then were bang average, And to be honest, this Chelsea side have actually been really good against the bigger sides. It actually suits them. So listen, look, we made them look distinctly average. Pressing was really good. Passing was excellent. Scored 4, could easily have been 6 or 7. Everyone played really well. All around, just makes it easier. And what's really good is just imagine roles reversed. This was us coming in after beating Burnley 3-1. We go, how's City getting on against Chelsea? Oh, fuck. All those chasing was just looking like, oh, bollocks. It's A, a win, but B, it's a dominant win against a good side. But listen, it makes you bounce into the Arsenal game. And also, Arsenal looking at it and go, shit. So, listen, made up. Absolutely made up.
Yeah, it's Thor, the polyglot here, has obviously picked up on what Kev was going for there. Whether it's Kev O'Sullivan or Roy Keane, just do your job. Just do your job. And I mean, Kev, in all seriousness,
yeah,
that is a job well done. I wrote down at halftime, just, you get your 15 minutes to collect your thoughts, and it was an outstanding first half with the tiny asterisks of Darwin Nunez not being able to put that penalty into the back of the net. But
look,
to a man,
they were brilliant. At the end of the day, the lineups came out, and I looked at their lineup and I looked at ours, and I thought, okay, he's going with Bradley. He didn't change it. I thought this is going to be a test. Raheem Sterling on the wing is no joke, and he can cause it. He causes players problems. And you have Ben Chilwell, England left back. So they'll be looking to attack down that side and what have you. Oh my days! I mean, that was outstanding. I mean, it's not often you'd be lost for words or stumped for words. That was sheer world. That was a world-class performance from Conor Bradley. It was a world-class performance, and if that was an established right back who put in a shift like that, who you'd gone and signed for 50 million quid in the January transfer window, and you're seeing him for the first time, you would be blown away by that. He was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I knew he was going to be good. Look, I've said it for a long time. He's going to be good. I didn't think he's going to be this special. Honestly, he is a special talent. So much. He's putting himself in that role now of he's turning around. He's basically turning around to Jurgen Klopp and said, "Go ahead and drop me if you like, but you're not dropping me for performance. You're rotating me. You're not dropping me." I mean, lost for words. I made up for him because it was funny enough. Someone liked a tweet that I put out tonight back in July. He must have been searching for something about Conor Bradley, but it came across something that I'd said back in July. And I said, at the time, I said, he's older than Levi Colwill, and people were willing to spend 60 million quid for him. Give him a chance, see how he goes. It was just after he signed his new contract. And nobody. There isn't a single soul out there saw this coming. Nobody. But
probably
absolutely made up for him. I'm so made up for him. He wasn't the only one. there were some outstanding performances all over that pitch. And when you look at, I come on here all the time and I look at the stats, and what shocked me about the stats tonight, right? And you can tell a lot from it, was the possession stats. It was actually ball possession for stats tonight was 51-49. It was actually 51 to the Reds, 49 to Chelsea. But we limited Chelsea to 4 shots. 3 of them were on target, but 4 shots. They had half the ball. That is a monster defensive performance by us from the front, led from the front. And Chris, you were talking about it there. The pressing, the organized chaos on the press, from the front, was unbelievable. I mean, I got to shut up because I could wax on about it for ages, but I'm so blown away by that performance. I knew they had it in them, but when you see it straight up in front of you like that, I can't wait to watch that game back, knowing the result. I can sit down and just watch it and enjoy it. Whereas whenever you're watching the game, you're watching, you're tense. What if anything could happen? A referee mistake, to get one back. What if they get 2? And I think I'm really looking forward to watching this one back again, and because I'm, like I said, blown away by that. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, the lineup was pretty straightforward. Like I said into the Telegram group when the lineup dropped, that the Szoboszlai, McAllister, Jones, that's our first choice midfield. I think that's your cup final starting midfield right there. And surprising to hear that it's only the second time that a front three of Diaz, Jota, and Darwin Nunez have started together, considering that we have been kind of chopping and changing our forwards a fair little bit. But strong. You can't make any arguments against playing Gomez and playing Bradley and taking an extra game, an extra week, whatever it takes, with the 2 fullbacks coming back from injury, and then for them to go out and play like that, like sky's the limit for this team. We look in great nick.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I'm just blown away by how good that performance is. But I think for Liverpool and for Klopp, culturally, as a team culture, that says a lot, because you're basically saying to Bradley and Gomez, I know the 2 main fullbacks are back, well, they're 100%. So you still keep your place. It's your shirt to lose, and that's all you've got to ask for people who step in, is make yourself undroppable, make it be an issue where you're like, we're all sitting there going, it's start Bradley against Arsenal. Sorry, Trent, you have to wait. And you wouldn't have said that 6 weeks ago, because you're just like going, you want Trent back for this running, and now you're looking going, but it's a lovely problem to have. Which one do you pick? And whichever one you pick is brilliant. So, yeah, listen, Liverpool were ridiculous. I think they had 28 shots tonight. I think they had about 13 on target. The only thing that would have capped it off would have been if Darwin took one of his chances. The penalty, obviously, is the outstanding elephant in the room for Darwin, but the other ones would have hit the post. 2 of them are good saves. I mean, to be fair to Chelsea's keeper, I thought Chelsea's keeper played quite well. He's the reason it was only 4, because he made some good saves. I thought Jota was excellent, pressing the front, won the penalty, was just generally a pest. And McAllister, since he's come back, just looked different level at that 6 role. He's nipping it where you want to be. He's pressing high. It's a very, very high press they do, and we do sometimes leave ourselves 2v2 because they trust the team to cover it. And I think that's the next message kept even before he scored, saying Luis Diaz has been quietly excellent today, and he's been quietly excellent for a couple of weeks. And in fact, Joe Cole was just getting really pissed off, and he fancied Chelsea before the game. That's also just quite funny.
Yeah.
And weirdly, Paul Tierney was surprisingly all right.
I've got a big star beside a certain segment of the game in which I would like to talk about Mr. Tierney and the PGMOL,
which is unusual for Paul Tierney. I mean, it's probably a one-off. I mean, he'll be back to being a bellend next time we see him. But
and certainly, but you take the sunny days when they come.
Take it when it comes. Yeah.
But
made up.
Kev, we came flying out of the blocks, like flying out of the box. In the first 8 minutes, Darwin Nunez has 2 chances. One, a great chip pass from Conor Bradley, a foreshadowing of what was about to happen. The second one was McAllister feeding it in through him that wins our first corner. Moises Caicedo takes a yellow card on 11 minutes. And I mean, it was one after another. At 13 minutes, I noted that was the first time that Chelsea had any amount of sustained possession where they were able to set up from the back and kind of move the ball around and everything like that. Konate with a gorgeous ball over the top for Darwin. That's the first save that Petrovic makes, low and to his left. Great long reach on him there. And it brings us to the first goal. I mean, it's going to be a Conor Bradley appreciation show tonight. Again, much like the last game against Norwich, nips in front of his man, wins the ball, starts off on the counter, and gives the ball to the man who just scores goals. You said you had forgotten about this when you just came onto the feed, and it took about half a second of reminding you that it was the most Luis Suarez type finish you could ever want. And I mean,
look, it was. I mean, you go back a bit. I mean, the goal. You take your luck when it comes, because it was deserved luck for the sustained pressure that we built in the first 20 minutes. And, you know, he had quick feet to try to maneuver in between the space that the two centre-backs left him. The ball bounced up. My only initial fear was if there's any touch off any part of his arm, accidental or not, this is getting chalked off. But there was a hand from a Chelsea player. It literally bounced straight off his chest and down. And he finished it brilliantly, and it was just reward. Yeah, I think because they had to be right, you know, they had to be sure, and because there was a hand in there. So I don't care how long a decision takes, as long as they get it right. And there was a decision earlier that could have been made, and you know, we'll come back to that when we talk about the referees, but. It was just reward to be 1-0 up for the sustained pressure. And I love the press because it was completely organized. He knew exactly how Pochettino was going to set up to try to play out from the back. So he played with two literally on the edge of the box, three straight in behind those two, and then everyone else squeezing the space behind that. And he basically just said to Chelsea, go ahead, I dare you. Play it out from the back. And we won it more often than not just by daring them to play, because they don't have the confidence to be able to pass out of that press. That was brilliant. The next side of it was when Chelsea decided, okay, well, this isn't working, let's go long. The first time they went long was straight into Joe Gomez, and he's like, thank you very much, not down to Curtis Jones, and we launched an attack from there.
Yeah.
So if you're Chelsea, you're screwed. You can't play from the back. You can't go long. It's got to be a long night for you. You know, and by the way, we're dominating you. We're creating chances left, right, and center. We've hit the post, the crossbar already, and now we're 1-0 up. And there's nothing you can do about it. You know, you can go and spend however billions you want, as Phil would say. It's like, it doesn't matter what you do. You're not good enough. Yeah. And you're not organized enough, and you don't have the confidence that we do. And we were relentless in that first half. That first half was as good as anything I've seen in a Klopp era, bar none.
Yeah.
That was near total dominance of a side that has spent an absolute fortune with a guy that, myself included, and a lot of other people were touting as a potential Klopp replacement a few years ago. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah. They had no excuses. They were absolutely bullied. And I love that. We bullied the living daylights out of them, and there was nothing they could do about it. Yeah, absolutely nothing.
I love this little interlude we're going to have for some useless stats. First one from Rory Fitzgerald, one of our members. Also, if you're not a member of the channel, I highly recommend it. It's €4 a month. You get an unbelievable amount and assortment of shows, with the second episode of The Greatest coming up tomorrow night, which I cannot wait for. I just finally caught up to the first episode of it today, listening on a podcast download, and that is going to be a juicy show discussing the greatest sports person of all time. Rory Fitzgerald says, useless stat of the day. Liverpool have won 51 points from 22 league games. United and Everton have 50 points combined, having played 43 games between them. Useless, yes, but we all do like it.
Smile on your face, that. Yeah, that's a smile on your face, that.
Where was that other one? From Scouser Pete, just to double down on it. Someone's just posted a tweet saying no Man United player has registered more assists than Conor Bradley's 3 in the Premier League this season, and the youngster has made 2 appearances. He also has the same number of assists as Trent, actually. So
it's like five in his last 4, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I got his stats up here on LFC history. He's made 14 total appearances. He has 1 goal and 6 assists. So that's pretty good. 50% of your appearances, and some of those are substitute appearances, end in a goal involvement. Before I come to you for the second goal, Chris, I'm going to run through a part that I never thought I would get to. I'm sure it's here. Oh, yeah. Paul Tierney had a fantastic game today. He had a fantastic game today. I'm sure if you tuned into a Chelsea reaction show, they would be screaming bloody murder over the 2 penalties that they didn't get. I mean, do we want to just take them as a group right now? Did anybody think that there was a clear and obvious error on either of those penalties, Chris?
First one live, I didn't think it was a penalty. When I saw the replay, I thought it's one of those ones where if it's given, they're not going to overturn it. The second one, I must admit, when I saw it live, I thought, "Oh, that looks more like it." And you see the next thing when it does kick his foot. So I think the second one is more of those one of the ones where if the ref gives it, VAR is never overturned. The first one, I don't think it's a penalty. I think it's soft. He just runs into his leg and clips him. So I think at worst, maybe one of them if he looks in. But other than that, no. But it wouldn't. To be honest, I don't think it matters because I just think Liverpool have gone up another level.
Yeah.
But listen, the good thing about the first one being given is because I think that was at 0-0. So, I think Liverpool had a little bit of a raggedy spell just after we made 4 subs, which happens when you make 4 subs, you can lose your way for a little bit. So they had that little flurry, Chelsea. Outside of that, Chelsea were very, very passive and not really involved. If you're a Chelsea fan, I would be questioning some of those senior players, and some of those expensive players that you bought because Sterling froze in the night, Caicedo didn't want to know. Endo Fernandez just disappeared, just generally just not great. You sort of look and go, this is a lot of money, a lot of quality you bought, and they're just like not interested when it got difficult. The Chelsea of old would have at least made that shut up shop and at least made that horrible and tried to keep themselves in the game. They never knew how to keep themselves in the game. The only bit of quality they had was Nkunku when he came on. And Mudryk is the biggest waste of money I've ever seen.
Oh, there's a peroxided Brazilian at Manchester United that might
for Chelsea. For Chelsea, I mean,
wow.
For Chelsea, the money they spent on him, I just don't see it. He's a fast lad, and he's got no end product. He's awful.
Kev, the penalties for you.
If you listen to the commentary that we were listening to, Ali McCoist was seething, to put it mildly, on the second one. But then he was seething at the first one as well. So the first one, I thought, it was soft. It was, at the end of the day, football is a contact sport. You're going to get contact. Not all contact is a foul. The second one, you could have more of an argument over, but I think what annoyed me about McCoist was the fact that they're bitching and moaning for ages about how when they slow it down, it looks worse and they shouldn't slow it down. You need to see it in real time and real speed. Well, all they did was show him slow-mo replays. And on the slow-mo replay, Van Dijk touches Nkunku's foot. But then Nkunku looked like he'd been shot with a shotgun after that touch. And the ball was gone. So he thought, okay, I've got to go down and try to get something. If you looked at it in real time, it's just contact. The difference between that and the one that Jota got was the fact that your man stood on Jota's foot. Outside of the box, that has been given as a free kick all season long, up and down the league, every time. If a player stands on your foot, it's given as a free kick and a foul. In the box, that's a penalty. That's not up for debate. That's not even a discussion worth having.
Robert O'Brien makes a good point in the chat saying, first pen, no. Second pen, probable, but Chelsea were diving all game. And I also do think that's
a good point.
They already had a player booked for diving. There was a couple of soft goings down, which, to be fair to Tierney, he was having none of that, really. He was like, no, I'm not having that. So I do wonder sometimes that's in the back of a ref's head going, these have been falling over all game. I'm not sure I'm buying it. And he's probably just saying, if it's ridiculous, VAR will tell me. And none of them were like ridiculously outrageous.
No.
But
so the other thing I say as well, he let normal contact go most of the game. bits of players pulling at each other and tugging at each other and going for the ball with honest attempts to try to win the ball, and you don't get it. Yeah, it might be a foul and you might get a free kick, but more often than not, he was letting the game go. And the amount of times that Virgil won the ball back from behind with good tackles, that Jota and
Alexis
Diaz were pressing. Yeah, McAllister nicking in and just winning the ball. All contact, all, sharpening the elbows and getting in the space and making the Chelsea player make a mistake on the ball just by shoving him or anything. It didn't matter. But he was letting it go. So you have to play to that. And you have to play your game according to how the referee is refereeing the game. If you have a finicky referee, there's certain tackles and challenges you just can't make. But tonight, he just let the game flow. And I was happy with it. And credit where it's due.
The yellows he gave were legit yellows. Caicedo got one for petulance, throwing the ball away, and Endo gets one for a late tackle. And I kind of feel that killed Chelsea then, because they were just like, I can't make a tackle now, or I can't make a missed time tackle, which is what you want your DM to do, which is what United at home did very well. They were very good at the fouls and breaking the game up, and team cumulative fouls. Chelsea's midfield engine just got killed for doing that, which allowed us to take advantage and pass it around them because they literally couldn't touch us. Can we talk about Bradley now, because he's brilliant?
Yeah. We got to give Tierney the rest of his credit. 32 minutes. There's a yellow card for Enzo Fernandez that I feel encapsulates the whole game. It's a loose ball in the middle of the park. Looks like Enzo and Jones are both about the same distance away. We got there clearly first. He used his body and his strength extremely well. He held off a terrible lazy tackle from Enzo Fernandez. We get a free kick. And then a moment later, Ben Chilwell gets a yellow card for diving. And I was so blown away by it, because I think we were all a little apprehensive seeing Paul Tierney's name down on the sheet as reffing this game of like, what is this knob going to do now? And so credit where credit's due. But yes, Chris, let us talk about Conor Bradley scoring his debut goal for the Reds. The roof came off of Anfield, it sounded like, on my broadcast.
Oh, yeah. Listen, first of all, brilliant play by Diaz. The hold-up play and the pass, and Nunez has run off the ball, which helps create space. It's really good. That finish gave me vibes of Trent when he scored Leicester away. It felt like that sort of thing. It was such a clean hit. Keeper's getting absolutely nowhere near it. I mean, what a way to make it. What a debut goal to get. And it just summed up a brilliant, brilliant performance. It's just outrageously good. Again, VAR being a bit pernickety, looking at Jota and the defender. They're trying to say Jota had held back Chilwell. I think when they watch the replay, I think that it's the both holding each other, and even if it wasn't, Chilwell was getting nowhere near that. But listen, it was great. Listen, he got took off early because he's getting rested for Arsenal, and he got a standing ovation. But his all-round play, defensive work, attacking work, but the goal was brilliant. To be honest, he's been threatening that for the last couple of games. Last couple of games where me and Kev have said like Norwich and that, he's gone like, "Oh, just hit it." You're in the right place, just hit it, and he took his opportunity. I mean, if you're a Chelsea team, you're wondering why there's such a big gap, but I do think a lot of that is done by the excellent work by Luis Diaz, who I thought was really, really good. And I quite like he's given that free role now to come in central, because I do think that suits him. And almost Jota and Nunez goes a two. It just gives us a little bit of a different dimension, but the finish is outrageous.
Yeah. And shades of, I think you said this before we went live, shades of Trent against Leicester Boxing Day in the title winning season, of just having the presence of mind, having the confidence in yourself, and knowing that the guys behind you will keep it tight at the back and that you can risk making that big driving run. And bang, I mean, puts it right into the back of the net. Anybody want a corgi?
As long as your cat's not in the room, it's fine.
No.
The nicest thing about the finish was the self-awareness of where he was, but then he had a touch to take it away from any potential defender who was going to try to cut across him to hit it back. He just created that extra angle. It was a great finish, and it's something that I've often criticized Andy Robertson for on the other side. Is Robertson gets in those positions a lot, and we've said that Conor Bradley, the way he's playing, is literally like a mirror of when we flipped the new system, where instead of the right back tucking into midfield, it's Joe Gomez, the left back tucking into midfield, and the right back bombs on. We get our fullbacks into great positions to score goals, and that's the first of a few that he's going to score in his time at Liverpool. He took that really well, and he took it with a lot of composure. So absolutely made up for it.
And spare a thought for poor Joe Gomez, who is up to 200 and some Liverpool appearances and still hasn't scored.
Well, I noticed with Joe Gomez, and I thought, okay, every time that we have a corner, he's the last man. I mean, at the end of the day, he's good in the air. It's just unfortunate that he's probably our quickest player. So the one part of his game where you say, yeah, you're going to be a threat in the opposition box with set pieces. No, he's the guy who's standing on the centre circle just in case.
It's going to be his goal will be an open play if he scores one.
Yeah,
I can't see him in a set piece.
It happened once in the second half where he was needed in that spot. No, it was in the second half. Might have been. Yeah, it was in the second half.
Yeah,
where they almost got a breakthrough and Joe Gomez just swept up. So yeah, but I'll say the one thing as well on Ben Chilwell's yellow card, their heads were going. That was the sign for me that their heads were gone. They were fried. The Fernandez yellow card was pure frustration. The Chilwell card was pure desperation. And that was on 35 minutes. And they just ran out. They had no idea how to deal with us. And it was just relentless. And it wasn't stopping. It was 2-0 and it didn't stop. It just kept coming and coming and coming.
Yeah.
That's why you wish the third had got it. That's why you wish the third had gone on. I think it was 3-0 at half time. I think that score could have been anything. Because I generally think they'd have just capitulated. That was only mild frustration and ultimately nitpicking where you're going like, these shouldn't be anywhere near this. 2-0, this game should be 3-4 at half time. It should be done. Yeah. But listen, Liverpool actually, I thought from the 5th minute to the 70th minute, completely dominant. And Chelsea never really looked in it. They had a 5-minute spell where they get the goal, they had the penalty shout, and that's it. And it's not often you're saying to Chelsea where you're going like, they got a 5-minute spell for Chelsea, and that's it. That's how much we dominated them and kept them out of the game.
Yeah. Comment here from Mark Donegan. He says, hate not getting to watch you live more because I have to go to bed for early start in the morning, but boom, 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 mutter flipper. Keep up the good work, lads. Thank you very much, Mark, and we appreciate that. Mark is a member, even though he doesn't get to listen live all the time. But yeah, please consider becoming a member. And if you don't, when you download the show afterwards, give a 5-star rating on all your podcast reviews. And if you're in here watching live or catching up on YouTube, just make sure to hit the little thumbs up button so we get a pretty good gauge of how many people we got engaging in all this. And it's always nice to get a little positive feedback from it. And then just on the stroke of halftime, we get a penalty. And I mean, it's, I believe, Disasi just steps directly on top of his foot. No, Badiashile steps directly on top of Diogo Jota's foot. It's a pretty nailed on penalty. I mean, it was so obvious that even Paul Tierney could see it, pointed right to the penalty spot. They looked at it, but no. Jota was down, hurt for a little bit, but thankfully gets back up. McAllister holds the ball to protect the spot and then hands it off to my fantasy Premier League captain, Darwin Nunez. And I mean, Kev, I've never been less confident in a penalty. I know he's got a great record and I love the guy and I'm desperate for him to score, but it was just feeling like one of those nights because up until this point, I have nothing but positive notes about Darwin Nunez's play in the game.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he was just an absolute terror to those Chelsea defenders, both of whom are unbelievably slow. And so is Disasi to play as a fullback. I mean, we should have had a field day today. We did have a field day today. And the only thing that was missing was Darwin Nunez scoring a goal.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I had confidence. I didn't realize that going into this game, he had a perfect record of penalties in his pro career. He hadn't missed one, but at the same time, we've got other penalty takers that were on the pitch. Dominic Szoboszlai and Alexis McAllister have both taken them, and they're both really, really good. But look, he stood up. he hit it as clean as a whistle, and it pinged off the post. When you're hitting the ball at that pace, you don't need to be hitting the side netting. You just make sure you hit the target. If you're hitting it that hard, just hit the target. It was a clean strike. It just pinged off the post, and he did everything in that game today. He did everything bar score. He's hold up. He ran it. He was making runs in behind. He terrorized that Chelsea back line. Dropped short, worked his nuts off to win possession back. It's unfortunate for him that he'll be talked about as missing a penalty and hitting the post 4 times. But he'll play worse than that and score a hat trick.
Yeah.
He will play worse than that and score a hat trick in this season. I'm convinced of it. He was up there for man of the match. To be honest, he's definitely in the discussion for it, because short of the penalty miss, I don't think he did much wrong at all. Genuinely, he was really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, Chris.
Actually, one thing he did do wrong, and Chris will come to it in the start of the second half.
I'll give me the fun job. Oh, thanks for that.
No, you were the one who said it to me, so
yeah, it's true.
Just moments after the dust settles on Darwin's penalty miss, I do have it noted here as it needs to be mentioned. It is the only negative I had in the whole game, nitpicking negative about Conor Bradley. Chelsea's playing the ball out of the midfield to the left, and it's slightly under hit, and he just gets caught between two minds over whether he's going to come and whether he's going to go. Him and Szoboszlai have a little bit of a crosswire situation, and then he immediately races back, gets back. We fend it off. It's absolutely no problem. And that brings us to the end of the half. And I mean, those are the great half times, Chris. I'm sitting there. I have excellent. Our midfield is absolutely dominating them. And the name that I don't think has gotten enough mention just quite yet is Alexis McAllister was everywhere. That's just the first half. And he continued it for the second half as well, too.
Perfect number 6 game. Yeah. Perfect number 6 performance. And that deep, the crosses he can play from deep are Virgil van Dijk-esque, and to have that just a little bit higher at the pitch just gives you another dimension. It's he was excellent. It won't get talked about as much because obviously, Bradley does so well, gets man of the match, and Darwin was involved in everything. But there's a lot of performances. Curtis Jones was quietly excellent, as was Luis Diaz. Jota was a pest when just in general, Chelsea didn't want anything to do with him. I'd forgotten how slow Chelsea centre backs are. Yeah. My lord,
glacially slow.
Yeah. Now listen, Thiago Silva's a year younger than me, and he's played professional football, so I don't expect him to be quick. But to be honest, he's more sprightly than the lads either side of him. Because the other lads either side of him, honestly, God, I've seen Milk turn quicker. Ridiculous. Listen. Yeah, look, Kev will talk. We can talk about the second half. The only nitpick I have about Darwin, other than his penalty miss, which look, these happen. We've seen Mo Salah miss penalties. Is it's just a little thing he's got to get out of his game, which is you're 2-0 up. The ref blows a free kick and you boot the ball away. Stupid, cheap yellow, and he's getting an accumulation of. If you look at Mux's yellows, they are for dickhead things like just kicking the ball away, and we know how pernickety the refs are. Don't give them opportunities. What will annoy us is he gets 10 yellow cards and has a 2-game ban and mugs him for kicking the ball away. And there could be 2 games where we really need him. That's the only time we're down. It's like, just switch your head on a little bit. You don't need to get involved in that nonsense. Other than that, Chelsea was scared to death of him.
Yeah.
They brought Gusto on thinking he would do something. And no, did absolutely nothing. Tried to outpace him. That didn't work either.
Kev?
Yeah. No, I look. I didn't know if it was for kicking the ball away or for stopping a quick free kick. If it was for stopping a quick free kick, fine, no problem with that. But if it was for kicking the ball away, it's a bit silly. But other than that, man, he was outstanding. He was absolutely brilliant. Loved it. Loved his performance. I want to see more of it. I want to see that performance for the rest of the season because he'll double his goal tally for the season for what he is now. He'll double it.
Well, Tarek has asked me a question. He says, we are meeting them in the League Cup final in a few weeks. How do you all think it's going to go? And I answered him in the chat, but I will voice it for you here now. To quote Mr. T from Rocky 3, pain. because if we play anything like we played tonight, and keep in mind, we are missing our two most important creative players from the start, one completely, and Salah and Trent not playing.
Mm-hmm.
We've got players to bring back in to make us better. And it's the thing about it that I took the best feeling from was we were rampant all over them like bees in the first half. And I got to halftime, and it wasn't when you see us pull teams around and you watch them defending, you just go, like against Newcastle, you just go, come 70, 75 minutes, they're going to be gassed. We did not look gassed all night. We pressed like lunatics for the full 90 minutes, and we made a full raft of substitutions. We brought fresh legs on, and then you saw those substitutes that came on being the ones that are doing all the chasing and carrying. Harvey Elliott running around, looks like a headless chicken, but he's doing the same thing that Jones was doing in the first half and Szoboszlai was doing in the first half. It's a bit harsh that you're mad at Darwin. I mean, again, it was another minus.
I won't say I'm mad at him. I'll just say like it's just an annoyance. It's a little annoyance thing, and just knock that out of your game.
It would be better if his silly yellow cards were for taking his shirt off after scoring goals.
Yeah, like Mo Salah does. Like Mo Salah gets his bookings for. I'm sound with that.
Yeah. Obviously Pochettino was not a big fan of what he saw in the first half. He makes a fairly rare triple halftime substitution in bringing Malo Gusto, Nkunku, and Mudryk on for Chilwell, Madueke, and Gallagher. Really poor games from the three Chelsea players that went out. And there is not a lot of substitutions when their number goes up that it strikes less fear in your heart than when you see Mudryk being called on for Chelsea. And he had a chance 5 minutes in, skied it well over the bar.
It's a bad miss, that isn't it?
It's a bad miss, yeah. And look, they get it back to 2-1. There's a long way to go in that half. It's a different game.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing. That's the sort of thing you got to be ready for the cup final, because it's great we beat these 4-1 and absolutely trounced them, but I can't see the cup final being like that. Cup finals never are, to be fair. It's very rare.
No, cup finals are always tight.
Unless it's Man City playing Watford. It's very they're like that. So listen, I'm quite happy if we just do this again to them in Wembley. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, we come through. Like you said, Kev, that third goal is always important. I know Avo was saying in our Telegram chat that 2-0 is a terrible lead to have at halftime, or a terrible scoreline at halftime. Of like, it's a lot better than losing by 2 goals. Halftime at Villarreal in the Champions League wouldn't have been nearly as fun as this halftime would have been when there's a 4-goal swing like that. But the third goal comes, and it comes via Conor Bradley again. I mean, Kev, it's a recurring theme for this game, but Virgil plays an incredible switch. And it's something that when Salah first was out of the team, that I'm pretty sure it was you on one of our post-game shows noting that he wasn't quite as free with opening his body up and spraying that big from left center half out to where Mo Salah would be crossfield ball. Yeah. And he did that here. And Conor Bradley takes a look at Benoit Badiashile and just says goodbye. And 2 touches, he's right past him. An unbelievable cross. And Dominic Szoboszlai, welcome back to the starting lineup.
Yeah, it's nice to have your centre mid making that run into the box, because he's a big unit. He's a strapping lad, and it was a really good goal, really well worked, but it was one that if that goal scored against you, you live it. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't be beaten that easily. But Bradley just breezed past him, and it was just a brilliant cross and a well-taken header. And that was a collective relax, enjoy the rest of the game. It was again, it was exactly what the performance merited. Plus, it was on 65 minutes. They literally made their changes. They showed their hand, and they didn't have much else that they could do. So at 3-0, you're thinking, okay, that's it. Relax now and happy days. But Szoboszlai, when he was playing in Germany, used to play a lot on the left wing and right wing. And he wouldn't be that one who would drift in from those positions and score those type of goals quite a bit. The fact that he's able to do that and has the confidence to do that from the number 8 position is great for us. Curtis scored the last game, making that run around the back to make the extra man into the box. Having the ability to do that on the right-hand side, brilliant. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry 10 here, he's saying, heard Szoboszlai compared to Michael Ballack. I can see it more and more. Yeah,
Good shout.
and Sam,
really good shout. That's a really good shout.
Excellent
and
play.
Sam Tandy, genuinely first thought Nunez scored that header was a striker's goal with his movement from Szoboszlai. And I mean, yeah, it's the strength that we get from having legs in midfield and knowing that we've got the pace and energy to recover if we do lose the ball in attacking situations, coupled with Alexis McAllister settling into that 6 role so well and being everywhere tonight. And, you know, Konate and Van Dijk probably aren't going to get a whole lot of mention because everybody else in the team was so good. But they're, again, another excellent performance from our center halves. And it just gives those attacking players the freedom to just go and attack the ball. I mean, they make their change, another change shortly after. Chukwuemeka comes on for the 115 million pound man himself, Moises Caicedo, who I believe picked up a yellow card. And that's about it. Shortly followed by a raft of Liverpool substitutions. Gakpo, Elliott, Robertson, and Trent come on for Jota, Gomez, Bradley, and Szoboszlai. And then they score, Chris.
Yeah. I mean, listen, give Nkunku credit. It's a lovely turn. And listen, Allister's got no chance. If you're nitpicking between Konate and Van Dijk because they get a little bit tighter, maybe, but give the forwards some credit. It's, you know, nice footwork. And listen, Nkunku's a good player, you know, so took his goal really well. Not long after that, they have the penalty shout. You're thinking, oh, don't give that because 3-2 is a bit edgy then. And it was the only annoyance of the big annoyance of the night was like, well, absolutely flatters these. It absolutely flatters them. So I was pleased what we got as a 4-1 because at least put a bit more realism on the score. Because I actually thought, you know, Chelsea didn't deserve to win anything today. So, you know, not even a raffle. But yeah, good finish. I love the 4th goal. And those two are starting to have a nice little link up.
Yeah, they certainly are. I mean, I think it was kind of telling that the two, I'd say about the only two Chelsea players, the goalkeeper and Chukwuemeka and Nkunku, 2 substitutions were about the only players from Chelsea today that can kind of take some, not, you know.
He was a good bit of business there, Chukwuemeka. They didn't pay. They got him 17? From Villa. I think they got him young from Villa, and you didn't see him for a year. And he's come on and played bit parts this season. And I remember watching him at Villa thinking he'd be worth a shout for us. He'd be worth a punt to
because he ran the game when we played Villa in the FA Youth Cup final, I think, didn't he?
Yeah.
And they
really
trounced us. Yeah, he looked like a man playing amongst boys that game.
Yeah. And in fairness, he got the run on Harvey Elliott. And once he got the run on Harvey Elliott, he wasn't getting stopped. Christopher Nkunku is ideally, I think, a second striker. But he's got great footwork. And I don't think he'll be at Chelsea long. I think he's going to be... I think he's going to be doing his best to try to get a move out of there because he should be playing at a club where he's winning silverware. He's got lovely feet. He's got a great eye for a goal. It was a really, really smart finish. It was a really smart bit of play, smart forward play. It was a really well taken goal. I don't think the defenders could have got anywhere near him, to be honest. That's the truth. I think he shifted the ball and manipulated it into such a way that he created the space for himself, and it was just a really, really good goal.
Yeah,
I think the only thing that you could be nitpicking about is Harvey Elliott allowing the run off him in the first place, but he'd only been on the pitch like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
you know, you can't say he was up to the pace of the game. So that's about the only get out.
It's the risk reward of doing like that many subs, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It usually comes from set pieces. Actually, you know, when you concede this, your first set piece. Who am I picking up? And you end up conceding a silly one. Yeah. But no, look, credit where it's due. It was a good goal.
Our mate Chris Golding here saw the same thing I did on the replay, is that Nkunku stayed very calm and he sold them twice and then a lovely strike, and he did, and it was beautiful. It was that controlling the ball where he was and having the presence of mind to first fake a pass and then fake a shot, which sold Virgil, and then tucking the ball in. Like that's a tidy little piece of forward work there by Nkunku. Yeah. But yeah, then shortly thereafter, the second Chelsea penalty shout, which I think we all agree isn't really a penalty, but had Tierney given it, it would have been one of those. Then Darwin Nunez hits the bar again, because of course he does. And then somewhere in the fray there, Ibu Konate got a yellow card. I'm not entirely sure. Did anybody see what Ibu got a yellow card for?
I think he just caught fouls from behind on when they were trying to do a breakaway. It was a standard. It's a standard yellow, but it's a sort of a yellow you love your centre half to get, which is like just kill a breakaway. Darwin's a bit unlucky. He gets enough on it. I think if you look, it's one of those ones. Actually, if he misheads it, he probably goes in. It's just one of those games. But
yeah.
But listen, he does really well for the Diaz goal. Actually, to be fair, Gakpo's very good in the build-up as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's Darwin Nunez is often maligned for being the most offside player in the entire world. He was not offside this time. That is a perfectly arced forwards run that completely broke their back line. And then Thiago Silva had a step on him. I don't know if he slipped a little bit or just Darwin was too strong for him. Shoves him out of the way, kind of reminiscent of, who was it, Stones and Firmino at the Etihad, where it's just, I want the ball more than you. Boom, get out of the way. Lovely ball.
I think what helped Darwin do Silva was, he generally, when he's there on the left, he has cutting on his right foot, and we all know that's what he likes to do. But there's a couple of times today where he just took the ball and went, I was going to go on my right. I put a decent ball in. When you get into that regular, the defense got, I have no idea which way he's going to go in. Me and Kevin said this before. Everyone knows Mo Salah's going to cut to his left. Doesn't mean you can stop him.
Yeah.
But if you have someone who constantly goes both sides, you're just like, give up. Especially at that pace. And they're probably too scared to touch him. Because they never touch him, this is another pen, and this is more curtains for us. So, and listen, poacher's goal from Diaz, he probably should get more of them, because he is quite good at getting into that sort of position.
It was telling that he was on the right wing at this stage, because after the substitutions, Gakpo went straight out onto the left. Diaz come out onto the right, and he was getting involved more from the right than. And I thought he had a good game off the left, but I thought he looked more threatening when he was on the right.
Yeah,
it just looked like he was more dangerous and more involved.
Yeah,
when he was playing out on the left, he was really, really out on chalk on the boots, out on the wing. And more often than not, he was trying to cut back in onto his right foot and either get a shot off, or sometimes he'd go on his left and put a cross in. But sure, it's the one thing that it's the only strength that Chelsea had. And I never thought we would score from a set piece tonight. You have three big lumps, and Thiago is one of the best players at reading the ball in the air that you're going to see. So the fact that I just thought that when he moved out into the right, it was just like, yeah, okay, I'll have a go at you from here. And he got his just rewards because his performance was very, very good.
Yeah.
Just think he moved to the right because Bradley went off. Because Bradley was natural width, a la Andy Robertson, whereas Trent we want to invert, whereas first half we're happy for Gomez to invert. So it's probably just a little bit. He just gives you, he's pretty good at both wings as well, which is always handy. And that could be interesting when we play Arsenal, because Zinchenko likes to invert. So do you start a Diaz and a Bradley on the right hand side and say to both of them, just stay wide and make him go wide? And if he doesn't want to and he wants to leave that gap open, good luck, and just let Diaz do his stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's McGlinchey here pointing out the run by Diaz to beat Disasi to the ball is determination. Glad to see Lucho getting more goals. We need more from him at the moment. And Christmas Eve echoes that, saying center half was useless for the Diaz goal, and he really was. If that's your defender, if we're letting in that goal, we are furious at whichever defender is ball watching like that, because you had all the space all the time. Just go make it yours. Put it out for a corner. Whatever you got to do. Do not just let him sneak in behind you and absolutely steal that ball from you. Then we get a nice, now that it's 4-1, there's about 10 minutes left in the game. We get to take off Curtis Jones, who I thought ran his absolute bollocks off the whole game. I would love to see the distance covered stats from this game, because I got a feeling that our midfielders put in a hell of a shift today. And also Luis Diaz and Darwin Nunez did a lot of really good work getting back. Jota too as well. Bobby Clark gets to come on though, and that's always good. That's when they passed along the statistic that since records have been kept on number of posts hit, this is the first time that somebody's hit the post in the game 4 times, which is Great work, Darwin. Great work, Darwin. And then in the 85th minute,
I mean, to be fair to two of them are good saves.
yeah.
The penalty's the one that we all talk about. Two of them are good saves. This way, he's also got a bit of lack of luck as well, to be fair.
Yeah. 85th minute, the final change of the day. Cassidy comes on for, and I swear to God, he did play Cole Palmer. That was out of a team full of rank anonymous players today, because not one of their players really, besides Petrovic, showed up to play in this match. He was completely invisible.
Yeah, look, I mean, at the end of the day, he's getting rave reviews for some of his performances this season. And some of his performances have been fine for a young kid, but he's too much has been asked of him. He's not a striker, first and foremost. Secondly, when he's coming to try to get the ball almost off his centre back just to get on the ball, it goes to show how wrecked their heads were at this stage. I think he's a really, really good player. And I definitely think that Chelsea got him for a really good price. I also think he sniffs himself a lot. I think his ego needs to be checked, and the manager needs to get into his head, and he needs to be. I think he probably, for his sake, he needs to come out of that side for a while and sit and watch a few games.
But I see changes.
Like you look at what we did with Harvey. Harvey was never had that kind of attitude where he felt entitled, but he was dropped in and out, and now we're seeing the rewards for it. He shouldn't be playing this amount of football in that kind of a side, especially not playing up top. No way on earth.
I saw James's point saying there's a reason City let him go. I don't think it's a football reason they let him go. I think it's an economic reason. It's a PSR reason, because 50 million pure profit, balances the books, plays the game. That's why you sell academy players, because PSR, FFP, whatever you want to talk about, it's the perfect way. It's the perfect way of just writing something off, which is why Everton fans will like this. But if they really want to get out of PSR trouble, which they're probably going to be in again next season, if they sold the Branthwaite to United for 60 million, which you don't want to do, but they did, solve all the problems. It's just it's whether you're willing to do it. City can afford to lose the odd gem like that.
But the flip side of that is this comment I saved here from Brian O'Halloran from earlier in the show that says, patience pays off. Look at Bradley, Gomez, Kwanzaa, Jones, and Elliott. Now look at what Chelsea have spent £1 billion on. Idiots. And it's something that I said after the Norwich match was like, you don't want to have to be in a situation where you have to sell the Conor Bradleys or the Jarrell Kwanzaas coming out of your academy. You want those players creating that pipeline of moving up through the academy. And if you prove yourself, you're good enough. And not all of them are going to make it. Not all of them are going to make it. If you have a Cade Gordon and a Ben Doak, they both play kind of the same position. It's going to be a shootout between the two of them. One of them will get their chance at Liverpool, and the other one will get sold on for a tidy little profit. I mean, Chris, I would say about the only downside of the game, 86th minute, Alexis McAllister goes down hurt.
Yeah, it was a knee on knee, wasn't it? It was just fingers crossed. It's more of a dead leg and a bit of a sore one. So as in like probably be sore tomorrow morning, but you'd like to think he's probably okay. I mean, he went back on and played on, so you'd like to think.
I think the best thing that happened to him was actually coming back on and running it off. I think if he'd have went and sat down, that could have seized up on him. But the fact that he come back onto the pitch and he had a bit of a run on it, I think that'll stand him the world of good tomorrow.
Probably a bit like the Henderson one, in the Barca 4-0. It's a very similar knee on knee early on, and they just kept him moving. He said his knee was buggered the next day. But I think it's one of those ones where hopefully it's just a sore one for a couple of days, but he should be fine for Arsenal. But obviously, you hope so, because he's in brilliant form. Mm-hmm. And Endo's not going to be back for another 2-3 weeks yet. Yeah, because Japan keep winning.
Yeah, there had to be some sort of whatever the opposite of a silver lining is, because the rest of that cloud was pretty damn good today. I'm going to run through my favorite part of all these shows, courtesy of Ashley L. Before we get to the quote, she did have a fantastic stat for us. Before tonight's game, Darwin already registered as the highest post-hit rate of 0.36 times per game. Only Suarez got to 10 post hit faster in his career than Darwin, 37 games versus 42 games. So those Uruguayans really have something about hitting Premier League posts. That's absolutely fantastic. First quotes, Curtis Jones. It's been the first time I've come into the team and I'm playing free. I am happy. He goes on to say, it was very close to a complete performance. We knew it would be a hard game. They have individuals who can score goals and assists. We stopped that. And Kev, he's made himself a first name on the team sheet type of guy for this team. It goes back to Brian O'Halloran's comment that I just mentioned there about having patience with these players. Curtis Jones, a year ago, 50-50 the fan base on Curtis Jones?
Oh God, no. It wasn't even that close. It was 70-30 sell him. You know, what does he offer? You know, he's only in the team because he's Scouser. He's only in the team because he's English. I mean, at the end of the day, if you watched him playing for, I watched him a lot playing for England under 21s, and the role that that Lee Carsley was using him with the under 21s as a central midfielder. And I watched him playing against players in his peer range, in his age range, and he was outstanding. And then he comes back to Liverpool and you're watching him and he's like, you're not picking it up, but he wasn't being asked to do the same thing. It's a triumph for the academy. It's a triumph for the process. And it's a lesson to the fan base all of us, who want the lovely silk purse, who want the lovely signing. Look at what you actually have and what you've got coming, rather than having to go out and buy everything. Klopp has always said it. The transfer market doesn't solve everything. You have to buy players, yes, but you can't block pathways to the first team, especially the ones you believe in. And they've obviously believed in Curtis Jones because they had multiple opportunities to buy in players that would have froze him out and ended up selling him to Aston Villa for 40 million. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I think he's an outstanding, talented footballer, and he's only starting his career, really. He's really only starting his career. He's only going to get better.
I was just going to say, it takes you, and it's like you're reading my mind, Kev. It's such a perfect segue. Well done. The final quote from Jones says, with the likes of Conor, he can come into the team and express himself and show how good he could be. Klopp used to call Jones in for chats and said, your time will come. And my time has come. And that takes you on to the Conor Bradley. I mean, talking about Jurgen Klopp, he says, it was a big shock. I definitely did see it coming myself. We have to try and win everything this season, but we take it game by game. But in response, Klopp says about Conor Bradley, for 3 years, Pep Linders has been in my ear about Conor Bradley. And an incredible boy, the crowd singing his name, just great. There are quite a few people that said we needed a right back for different reasons. We were very positive about Conor. Chris, this is the club functioning exactly how you would want it to function.
Yeah, it's the right balance of, yes, you do still need to buy in quality, but if you could also then use your academy to supplement that, it does stretch your budget more, especially if you're not backed by a state. I mean, go back to Jones. My criticism of Jones, as always, and Kev knows this, was like, I can't trust him to stay fit for more than 2 games. That was always a criticism I had of him. It wasn't really an ability thing. It was more of a fitness thing, and he's found a way of growing pains, getting through that. I also felt Curtis Jones in the COVID season onwards went through a journey where he went from being an attacking wide left player. Well, Liverpool, it almost felt it was stifling to be defensive genie. And I think now, and I think it has to all players, the penny's dropped, which is I can do defensive genie work, but I can still do glide with the ball, taking shots on, and I think it's just like a penny's dropped, and I'm sure it is the likes of Klopp in his ear, and Joe has openly admitted he's not at the club anymore, but there was one fella who would never let him rest on his laurels and got him to kick his ass into gear. It's James Milner. Yeah. And that's when you've got the function. That's what senior players do. For Elliott at the moment, it's Mo Salah. It's obvious Mo Salah is his mentor. Yeah. I think for Jones, his mentor was Milner, which is perfect for his game to develop the part of his game that he needed to improve on, which was more off the ball defensive stuff. Now the balance is perfect. And the good thing for Jones is fitness wise, I think this is the best I've seen him for a while.
Yeah. And it really does show that what we were told were, growing pains and, the unfortunate eye injury that he picked up last year.
Yeah, he had some bad ones, didn't he?
Yeah, it's not necessarily a sign that a player is going to be injury prone, and now he's finding his feet in the team. The shirt is unquestionably his as well too, and I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, it's so. Here's the Klopp quotes from Ashley again. Thank you, Ashley. Klopp on what pleased him most tonight: the start, the middle part, and the finish. That is a very, very good answer, Mr. Klopp. He also says the counter pressing was top. We had them in places they didn't want to be. The high press was really good. It is fair to say we could have scored one or two more. And then finally, a great night. What an atmosphere. It was a screamer, actually. And I mean, Chris, it feels like this is a prelude to what the final home games are going to be for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's got to be like a celebration and a party atmosphere. And it's the right way because we did that the Klopp song, which is around the 60, 70-minute mark, which I'm sure pissed Klopp off. He's got to get over that. But it's doing that when the game's almost, it wasn't quite warm, but, pretty comfortable. Before that, it was cheering the team up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, listen, night games, I don't worry about, the crowd will be great for the Arsenal games. And people like to say it, but it's hard to get up when it's a 3 o'clock game against Burnley.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't have an amazing atmosphere every game. It's a myth that you can. And people
I think we will though, just because of the whole
you'd
Klopp
like to,
thing.
You should do because people should treasure this because fingers crossed. I think hopefully I'm going to go to one. I'm getting tickets hopefully for one of the games at the end of near the end of the season. Not the last game, unfortunately, but because I want to see one more game with Jurgen Klopp in charge because I think they were saying on commentary, and I think this sometimes people need to put this into context is. If we win 2 trophies this year, just say it's still a big if, but if we do, Klopp would then have the second most trophies with only Bob Paisley ahead of him. That's kind of the era we've lived in under Jurgen Klopp. When you put in the context of all the managers and all the great managers we've had, he's 2 trophies away from being second all time in trophies to Liverpool. That's ridiculous, And I think sometimes we could also we should have had more, should have had this, but that's still a brilliant period. I think people sort of get a bit disillusioned by it because of what another team has done, but the man's brilliant. So you just enjoy this while we can.
Yeah, I that does remind me. You mentioned Klopp's song. They were singing it in the injury time in the second half, and Jim Beglin, Liverpool legend or near to it, legend adjacent. As the crowd sounds fantastic as they did the whole night, are singing Klopp's song. Jim Beglin says one of the stupidest things ever, which is, hearing how good this sounds might be enough to make Jurgen Klopp change his mind. And I just yelled, "Fuck you, Jim Beglin," at the TV. Like, he couldn't have been any more unequivocal in the fact that there's nothing that's going to change his mind. Stupid dog. Man of the match is obviously going to be Conor Bradley, but let's get an honorable mention. Kev.
Diogo Jota. I just thought he led the line from the front with the press. His organization of the counter press was outstanding. He was just everywhere. He was really, really good. Really impressed. And he's showing how important he is to the side. He gets all kinds of goals. He was unlucky as well in the first half. He had a header that he kind of couldn't twist his neck around the right way to get it on target, but he's a proper forward. I love the ball to the man. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, and of course another goal, and he's in fine scoring form with Arsenal on the horizon. So
yeah, he's just chipping away at these goals, isn't he? He's just Jota scored again. Diogo.
Exactly. Yeah, Gary Boland agreed. Jota was great, and he loves Arsenal. Up next, Chris, who did you like?
Well, obviously Bradley is the right answer, but I'll go for honorable mention McAllister. Thought he was excellent. Yeah, I thought a lot of as a base defensively he was brilliant, and his passing was ridiculous tonight.
Yeah, he played some absolutely sublime balls. Again, it'll be interesting tomorrow or later on this evening because it's not quite as late for me here as it is for you guys over there. Just some of the stats that are going to come out after this game of seeing how many ball recoveries players like Alexis McAllister and Diogo Jota had. The dual success rate and stuff like that, because it just felt that we won absolutely everything that could be done. I was also going to go with McAllister, but I'm going to give it to Darwin Nunez because why the hell not? Why the hell not?
It was also Klopp's 200th Premier League victory.
Yeah.
Making it look easy.
Fastest manager to 200 wins in top flight football.
Well, there you go. He's gonna top out at 216. I'm telling you that right now. 99 points. 99 points. It's gonna end up being. Most important thing though to come out of today is the fact that we are still raising money for our two charity partners. So if you're a regular to the show, you know the deal. The description is going to be in the link, whether it's on YouTube or on a podcast afterwards. If you're just checking into the Talkin Kop for the first time ever, or the first time in a long time, our two sponsors that we're working with are Fan Supporting Food Bank out of Liverpool, which is a pretty well-known organization that the fans kind of do on match days for both the Reds and the Blues in Liverpool. It's a food bank initiative. We're trying to raise money for them. The Lighthouse is a cafe in Dublin that provides hot meals and a place to get inside and out of the elements for people that are down on their luck, living out on the street in Dublin city center area. So we're set a target of 10,000 euros we're trying to raise. We're going to split whatever we raise right down the middle for those two right there. So we're going to keep on pushing that. If you can donate, that would be absolutely fantastic because you know it's going to a good cause. If you can't, just take the link, whether it's from the social medias of the Talkin Kop channel or from the show descriptions and podcast or YouTube. Throw it into your social media, put it into your WhatsApp groups, share it along, and the 5s and the 10s will just keep us ticking over and getting us there. Please hit the like button if you're listening along to us today. Again, give us a little rating on your podcast app afterwards. I think we're doing an okay job. But other than that, gentlemen, Kev, you got any final things before we get out of here?
No. Last day of the transfer window, I think.
Oh yeah,
today, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
No.
I forgot it was
tomorrow. Look, at the end of the day, isn't it nice to go through a January? I don't think we did a single transfer show. I don't think there was any comments in any of the shows that we need to sign X, Y, and Z, or our season is doomed and we'll just burn the place down and sack everybody. It goes to show how strong a squad we have and how we're geared for this, this final push. We're in a really good spot. Don't take these for granted. These kind of nights for granted. Beating Chelsea 4-1 at any time doesn't happen often. I don't care what kind of Chelsea side they put out. Chelsea, the last 20 years, are a strong side, and usually, given the games that we've played against them over the last few years, they've been a tough nut to crack. So the fact that we rattled 4 and we could have doubled that is a monumental performance. I just can't wait to go back and watch it again. Because I really want to enjoy that.
Yeah. Gavin and I did do one transfer show, and it was whether we thought Liverpool needed to or would sign a center half, and then it became obvious that the answer is probably no to both of them. But Tom Boland with the best transfer news out of all the transfer news, which is that Notts Forest have signed Gio Reyna, so it's time for Mom Watch. The Premier League hasn't had a character like this probably since Pogba's mom was a bit of a head case, so it's always good to have one of those. Chris,
Rabiot's mom was a head case as well. Isn't
oh yes, that's
yeah. Rabiot's old one is a right loon. She's just right.
If only United.
But Mbappe's mom loves us, so every cloud.
There's still time in the window. Kevin Ball says should have enough time to get Mbappe done. Yeah, it's the final 24 hours that are there. Chris, what else from you?
Women's show going live tomorrow at midday. So that'll be me, Neil Atkinson from the Anfield Wrap, and Emma Sanders from the Beeb. So we're just going to do a bit of a half-season review, talk a bit about transfers, talk a bit about WSL and what we think is going to happen going forward, and just a little bit of a preview of the rest of the season. So women are doing okay. They've lost the last 2, but they're currently sat 5th. Second season. They're sort of at the moment best of the rest, which, based on what we were thinking going into the season, we were kind of hoping to be sort of like mid-table. So where we are at the moment is actually doing really well. So steps in the right direction. So check it out. It'll be out on YouTube and at midday, and it'll be downloadable as well for everyone. So
yeah, and that's awesome. Yeah, there's a couple heavy hitters there in terms of Emma and Neil Atkinson. These are good people at this whole podcasting game. Those two are in the top echelon. So check that out. And the women's shows are always good. But I think that's just about enough from us for another night, because it's getting 20 minutes to midnight for you guys over there. That is late, but what wasn't late was Liverpool showing up to put the absolute shoes to Chelsea Football Club at Anfield today. It finished Liverpool 4, Chelsea 1. It was an absolutely dominating performance from the Reds. Hit the like button on your way out. Thanks very much. See you next game.